Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of the single player Let's Play series. So, in the last episode, we got our megalithic tree setup done. I don't know why I didn't sleep the rain off. I had time to prepare, and I completely forgot. But I did a very short stream where we got some housekeeping handled. So, this is the little area that I've made now for all of our latex and our resin production. Again, I still don't currently have a major use for resin, but I do have quite a few for rubber and for plastic. Y'all already know the uses for plastic, and I have decided to disguise some trapdoors as grass blocks for this area. And what was the other thing? Oh, I learned that this area was not properly chunk loaded, so I chunk loaded that. I don't remember if I did that on stream or on episode. I can't recall, to be honest. But yeah, so we have got everything nice and organized around here. I really like the leaves. I've been going for a very natural look in this sector, and I think that this part over here looks really good. And feels really nice and at home. So yeah, let me try to sleep off this rain really quickly. But today, we are going to address one of the issues that I've been running into with this pack. I think I've discussed before that iron was a hot commodity at one point, and that's why we set up our iron farm. Well, lo and behold, we can do the same exact thing, but for gold and quartz. This is going to require us to do a slightly more complicated setup in the beginning, but by the end of the day, everything will be just about the same and will be pretty well optimized. So to do this, we're going to need to do a couple of things. First of all, I believe somewhere we have this fluid pipe here. We're not gonna use this here anymore. What we're gonna do is disassemble this and start sending all of our creosote back using. Well, I guess we will keep that. Come to think of it, we'll start sending all of our creosote back using the ender tank. So, around here somewhere, I should have the dimensional tank. I called it an ender tank completely on accident. Definitely not how I think of them in my head. And if we take this dimensional tank and just put it here instead, right here is the output. That's just going to continue to work exactly the way it was. And now we have a little bit more room to work in here as I clean out all of these creosote tanks. Because we never did really end up using these. And I know that there are a lot of uses. I know that the avid immersive engineering fans among you will know, like, hey, there's half a dozen uses for creosote. Why aren't you doing that? Why are you destroying precious creosote? And it's because, to me, all those processes are a little bit too involved for what I'm interested in for a pack that I can only play when I record or stream, and therefore just kind of have limited time with, you know? If I had all the time in the world to record, which I most certainly don't, then maybe I would try to find a use for every single resource we generate, but I'm mostly in this setup for the charcoal, and I don't very terribly much care about the creosote oil. Now, there is going to be an inevitable issue that you can probably already foresee with this setup, and that is that the creosote oil is going to start to overflow. I think I already made a redstone probe connector before. Okay. Well, that's cool. I didn't know that I had made that, or else I would have not explained that in the last episode. But you can see the creosote oil here is already backing up, and that's not ideal. So what we're going to have to do is we're going to have to put a secondary output. And I don't know how it's going to prioritize these, and I frankly don't care all that much, because again, I'm not using this all that often. But what we can do is we can get what's called a fluid trash can, and if we grab our... there we go. If we grab our morpho tool and set this guy to a fluid output, then you're going to start voiding all of those fluids for me, which normally is not at all ideal. Again, we've discussed the wastefulness here, but I'm not very concerned. And so now you'll see that it's slowly starting to drop down, and we are good to go. So let me finish cleaning up this little area here. You can see that there's not too terribly much left. I feel like these copper tanks changed in color for some reason. See, the bottom's a different color. Is that just me? Am I losing my mind? I might be losing my mind. That's fair. And we already had a fluid trash can there anyway. Perfect. And so what we're going to do is we're going to use a very similar setup to our iron one to create gold and quartz using, again, a very, very similar setup, almost frighteningly similar. We will see exactly how well the yields are here. I don't have even the first clue, to be honest. But I really just wanted to get this area nice and cleaned out so that we could test everything and get everything set up properly. I put my rockets away on accident. we'll live. Anyway, so if you recall over here, there is this whole process by which we turn our cobble, which goes into this chest, into gravel. It gets washed, and then the washed gravel turns into iron and flint. Well, as it happens, there's a very similar process that can be done for soul sand. Soul sand can also be washed and turned into count of 4 nether quartz and 2% chance for 1 gold nugget. And there's no junk output. There's just either you'll get something from here or you get nothing. So that makes the item sorting part of this a lot easier. On top of that, something that we didn't have last time is over here we've got this little drawer that should be compressing items for us. We don't need this anymore because our new drawer setup back at home will automatically accept nuggets and turn all of our nuggets into ingots automatically. You can see all of our nuggets here from our ingots are being stored as 251,000 nuggets. So not at all necessary to do this anymore. So we can simplify that using a dimensional chest. And I need to get those auto crafting recipes set up for those as well. So we actually have a lot on our plate today. I think number one, why don't we go ahead and get some auto crafting recipes for the smithing table, and I'll show you how that works, and then we'll loop back around and get the automatic quartz set up. Let me get a couple of materials we're going to need and figure out where the honk I'm going to put this, because I have no earthly idea, but it needs to be somewhere that I get rotational energy, and so I'm guessing it'll possibly be over here. We do have stuff going on over here, so we'll see. It is pretty dang possible. Oh, before I go, one thing I did change is I reorganized this room pretty significantly. I got rid of all the hot wires, so we are now just using higher tier advanced energy pipes. These are pretty straightforward to make, by the way. If you're ever wondering, it's just the improved ones we've been using all along with 1 single enderium nugget in the smithing table. Yet another recipe I need to automate. And then to do that, we're using these energy cells, these flux cells, and they're kind of... These were not something I wanted to make off camera, but they were sort of necessary. I can't hook up these pipes directly to the diesel generator. They simply don't work. And if I hooked up a handful of HV accumulators, they wouldn't have the right throughput. They wouldn't have enough throughput, I don't believe. Maybe they do. This is something that, Elderstein would know off the top of his head, but I don't know off the top of my head, and I'm pretty sure that an HV accumulator's throughput wouldn't be able to match the maximum, especially if we started to have multiples of these. And I like the buffer anyway, and I wanted to try something different. So I made these redstone flux cells. The flux cells here are made using rubber, not this piece. We've seen pieces of this before, I think, but this is made out of cured rubber. Cured rubber is just cooked up rubber, and rubber is that stuff we started accumulating last episode. You can see I've still got 52 cured, and we've got 173 of the uncured stuff. And our plastic, we're doing pretty good on plastic because I started using it up. Now, what did I use the plastic for? That's another thing I did off camera and on stream, which, by the way, if you're not following me, I am doing that stream stuff over at twitch.tv/oitsjustjose, but I finally organized the little maintenance room for our RS system. So this is what this area looks like now. There's a access door down to the tunnel, with a ladder even. And then if you come down here, you'll see all of our fluid management is being beautifully maintained and covered and hidden. And then this is where all that plastic went to. These are framed cubes because plastic blocks actually make you walk faster on them. If I show you really quickly, you see you walk a lot faster on these, and I don't like that effect at all. So I decided to put them in a framed cube so that it would remove that effect. And here you can see we have our importing dimensional chest. So this is the one that cleans everything up for us. And this is where our diesel generating chest is. And this is where our bone meal providing chest is for our latex production. And we have everything nicely cleaned up. I feel really good about the setup now. And it's actually pretty dang usable. Anyways, I said I was going to come back when I got some stuff done, and then I rambled on. So let me actually go do that. All right, so the setup for this is actually going to be incredibly simple, I think. I think I figured out something that would be really helpful. So we are going to make an electric motor. So we're of course going to use, if you don't know this mechanic, anything that needs to be made in a smithing table. So let's look at the refined pipes mod. These are all upgraded in the smithing table, but you'll notice alongside these, there's this other tab. And a lot of people ignore this tab because if you look at all the crafting recipes, like if I want to look, how do I make a 1K storage block? Well, there's that stinking tab again. You can see the same icon, but this is just telling you, hey, you can craft it like this, or if you want to make it in a big crafter, you can do it here too, and this might be more automatable. But These are worth looking at sometimes because when it says shaped crafting, it does mean shaped crafting, but sometimes the shaped crafting recipe is custom. So take a look at these. If there's ever a recipe added by Harmonious Engineering that is not a tool upgrade recipe, it's just a pure crafting recipe, like the personal shrinking device, for example, it will have a mechanical crafting alternative that will do the same smithing process for you, but in a way that is automatable. And even more importantly than that, unlike the smithing table where this needs to be on the left, this needs to be on the right in order to get this output, the mechanical crafter doesn't care what order it goes in, at least in theory. I haven't actually had a chance to test this yet. If it doesn't work, I'm going to scream at the Cube.js developers very politely. Obviously, please be nice to your developers. But I would be very intrigued if this did not work. I would expect this to work. But what we're going to do is we're going to make a motor because we're going to need rotational energy in order to run this guy, and I don't feel like getting rotational energy set up for the 46th time in a row. So we are going to get a finished PCB. Hello? Yes. So I forgot. I haven't automated the full process for PCBs yet. I need to because this isn't very difficult to automate. We basically just need to have a, hey, put things in here and they'll come back in here. Oh, and I was actually already ahead of the game. Look at me, prepared, kind of. Uh-oh, we are out of transistors. These are all things that I need to start teaching this guy how to autocraft for sure, because this is not difficult to autocraft whatsoever. And I really like the system we've made here. It's incredibly modular and very, very automation friendly. So this will get us what we need, and then we can proceed with one more finished PCB. So I decided to say stuff it and teach it the automation recipes anyway, so now it will know exactly how to make a transistor, which will be very convenient for us. Unfortunately, we don't have slime balls automated yet. Still waiting on that process for sure, but we'll get there eventually. Oh, I can actually help out our system too. We've got a whole bunch of speed upgrades, so we can make this significantly faster now just by doing this process there. I don't think it'll take them here. No, that's fine. And there we go. Second finished PCB. Now we can make an electric motor. And the electric motor is the opposite, and this, you may find this ironic, and that would be completely fair. It is the opposite of an alternator. So an alternator turns electricity, or turns rotational energy into electricity. This turns electricity back into rotational energy. So that's sort of the process that I'm following along here. I think we've got everything we need for this, by the way, hopefully. Maybe. And so that's sort of the thought process that I'm kind of trying to go along with here. While we're at it, we'll go ahead and make a flux. I think it's a plug. No, point. I remember the recipe, but I can never remember the name. So it's kind of annoying in that sense because I'm terrible with the names. They all look the same to me. They're just black and white. But the flux point will allow us to take that energy from anywhere. And now we should be able to make U. And now we can make the electric motor. Easy peasy. So like I said, the electric motor, you place it down, it's going to start producing rotational energy. If I take a cog, like so, put you here. The really cool thing about these is that you can, let's force the outputs here, you can hook up energy to them, and you can control how fast they run, and that will be related to how much RF they take when they run. So let's hook you up to main. You'll see this is going to start running, and it's going to cost 240 FE to run it at this speed. This is very fast. What we can do is we can either turn this off whenever we don't need it, which is very much a viable option, or we can very much just slow this down because this is ridiculously fast. Sometimes it's a little difficult, so I do suggest, trying to either get that sorted out or just breaking this if you ever have issues. I think it'll connect on any side anyway. But yeah, frankly, like 64 should be just fine. And that's going to use 60 FE per tick, and that's super reasonable. So you'll remember earlier I had mentioned that the nuggets, do I have any electrum nuggets or anything? No, I do not. Okay, electrum and attachments, we'll do that. If I grab an electrum ingot, in theory, right, if I took this on the left and this on the right, we should be able to make one. I want to make sure that if I do it the other way, yep, it does not care. That's perfect because now what we can do is we can just put in a little round robin-y chest with, or put in a chest with like a round robin pipe, or not even a round robin pipe, but just a pipe with an extraction module. And that's going to get us going with a decent bit of goodies as far as the as far as the automation of smithing goes, because I'm very tired of doing these manually. Let's go ahead and get this on a maximum extraction. And now we can put this anywhere. So the way I see it, we probably want to put it over here. But I have no idea where. And since it's 2 blocks wide, it makes it even more awkward. So maybe, I don't know. I wish we had like a nook or something. I wonder, this is a weird question. I wonder if this would work. This is such a strange thought. Let me test this. And confirm, they do at least have to be horizontal. It just doesn't matter what order. So that does not work. But if I did this, this should work. Right? And then whatever, I think this is the opposite order. They should both work. No matter what. I think. So yeah, that's fine. Just a cursed idea that I had. Which does still leave me with the question of how to handle, where to put this. You know, honestly, we could always just tuck this back here somewhere. That is part of why this is here. We could put it right here, in fact, because it is reasonably enough the right shape to me to do this. And we can do it in such a way that we can still see it, which I think would be really cool, but not see too terribly much. That would be very annoying. I think this could be cool. So we'll put it in this nook right here. We will tell you, hey, for now we'll do just a chest, like a dummy chest. We'll do that. There will be a dimensional chest there in the future. And then on the top here, we will just really quickly do the electric motor with the cogwheel and the flux point right there. What are you using currently? 30? Yeah, let's bring you up to 64 so that you'll go to 60. I think that's plenty fast for smithing, because smithing is not something we will be doing too terribly often, I don't think. And then what we'll do is we'll have a chest and our crafter and a pipe. So the chest will go... Actually, let's do a barrel, because chests don't like having stuff on top of them, but barrels certainly don't mind. So if we do this right here, and then we tell you, hello, extract on the golden barrel, and then if I gave you, if I requested just a normal barrel, right? So if I just put these two in here, that will just craft a basic bin. Outstanding, outstanding. So now all we've got to do is hook this up to a wire line, which I believe we've got one running directly across here. So I think what I can do is just come over behind here and just borrow whichever one is running back here. Remember, we can do this. The reminder was not for you, by the way. It was just for me, because I had clearly forgotten. Anyways, cable. Yes, cable. Perfect. We'll run a cable line around the back. I don't like how these connect, but I guess that's just what we're doing. And then we will run it all the way behind. So this poses a problem, one that I don't think I've addressed on camera yet, because I know a lot of people who are watching are vanilla players or new to modded. And you know my goal is always to go through mods from the ground up, because I used to be a vanilla player like everyone, but I've been in the modded Minecraft industry since beta, Minecraft beta 1.7. And I've been a Minecraft modder for a long time, so I feel like it's helpful to explain things like this. This thing, this crafter, does not want to place the right direction here, because I can't fit. So what I can do is place it the wrong direction and use the wrench from its own mod. This is the refined storage wrench. And if I right click, you'll see it will rotate. And that is exactly what I want to see, because now I can hook you up and you will see exactly how that will work out. And the very first recipe that I want to teach you is a very valuable one, and that is one for the dimensional storage items. So let me get those trained up really quickly, and then we'll slap a dimensional storage down here, and you'll be able to see exactly how well that will work. In fact, we could probably just put an importer there. We don't need to be all that special, but we're going to need another barrel to do that. I'm just trying to go through some of my extra items anyway, because I've got quite a few. And any day now with the importer. No rush, but also please rush. There we go. Importer and then grade. We're good. We'll just do this. That'll be fine. So now if we take our blocks and fill them in, that's what it'll look like. And we can take some pretty looking glasses. Like for example, I learned recently that hardened glass connects, unless that was just a thing in all the mods. Yeah, that must have just been a thing in all the mods. Okay. Well, that would have been cool, but I'm perfectly fine with something like Panzer glass here. And so we'll be able to see it doing its auto crafts, and if we ever need another setup like this, we can just duplicate it. But that is a super clean setup. Let's go ahead and make sure that dimensional storage chests and tanks will work in our auto crafting setup, and then we can actually get to the real work of today's episode. So down here at the very bottom, we have our auto smithing 1, and I called it 1 because we'll probably have another one. So now if I request 2 dimensional chests, it's going to work on the enderium, I imagine, and the frames. Whoops. And it's also going to wonder, where did that gear come from? Well, there's one of them completed. I think I'm going to have to put this one here for it to work. But we can confirm we did, in fact, already get one. And there's the other one. Delightful. Delightful. I'm so glad that that worked out as planned. Again, I wanted to make sure that the recipe order at least didn't matter, because that would be pretty cruel to players trying to automate this, trying to figure out which items can go in A, can go in B. Like, you almost end up with the mechanism conundrum of like needing one infuser per infused type. And I wanted to very much avoid that. Anyways, on to the setup for today. We're going to need a handful of things, including a mechanic we have not even used yet. But to get started, we're going to need our crafters, because we're going to be making another, yes, that's right, yet another one of the crushing wheel pairs. And those are never all that difficult, but still something to behold nonetheless. Let me go and get the crushing wheels. Just a refresher, this is the recipe for it. So not at all difficult, but I will need to do that really quickly, and it takes some time. So I'll be back in just a second. So this is another one of those things I've learned in time and experience, and I thought you might also find it useful. You can see my recipe here does not fill these 4 corners, so there are empty slots. If ever you have a recipe where your crafter, your mechanical crafter here, is bigger than the recipe you're trying to fill, Create doesn't want to accidentally make a recipe while you're still working on putting everything in there. Let's say I had started this recipe with 1 plank, it would have accidentally said, hey, you're trying to make a button, and it would have auto-crafted a button, and it would have ruined it. So instead of me having to remember each individual possibility of a crafting recipe with an item or shape that I've put in here and avoiding accidentally making something as I put things in, what you do is just put it in. It's not going to do anything until you hit a button or give it a redstone signal of any sort. I put these 2 giant buttons on the sides just because they're fun, and that should work pretty sufficiently. Anyways, this is, again, more of the same stuff that we've kind of already shown off for the most part. We will need, I think in this case, 2 fans, and we might need, in fact, a little bit more processing. Now that I think about it, we may need a second set of crushing wheels to get sand. Let me think on that really quickly. Yeah, we will. Ooh, but we'll be producing clay as well. That's exciting. That's so exciting. Okay, cool. Cool. Okay, I'm excited. Ooh, fun stuff is actually about to happen, and I'm super thrilled. Give me just a sec to make more stuff. You know me. All right, so there we go. That is, in fact, not going to work. Whoops. I forgot that I needed to, was it 5 blocks? And I also need to glue these together. Mind you, this is purely aesthetic, but I like how it looks with the extra supports in the middle. So this is another one of these designs. You've probably seen it. You're probably very tired of it. But what I'm going to do is start to get a shaft line set up down here. And we're going to go with an actually slightly different design than usual. This is going to be a dual layer design. So this bottom layer here is going to be responsible solely for crushing our items from point A to point B, and point A being obviously from cobbles to gravel, and then or cobble to gravel, and then gravel to sand. And of course, in that process, we'll also be getting a bunch of other stuff like clay and flint. Clay, again, a big win for me. I think that's a great one. I love clay. I love building with bricks. So I'm excited about that, personally. I know that's probably a dumb thing to be excited about, but this is me. Wow, I could not have done that better if I tried. I promise that was not measured whatsoever. Anyways, let's go ahead and grab some shafts. You know, we're going to need these like usual, and we're going to need to get a gearbox to rotate the rotation into a different rotation of rotate. And rather than keep you in the dark, I'd like to put a torch or two down. And I think it might be a good idea to go ahead and use some of the space that we have here to gear up a couple of times. I don't think we can do it too many because we're running 2 crushers rather than 1. But I would be interested to see how many times we can get away with it. We'll see. We'll see. How many planks do we have? We can make more. That's right. I forgot. Maybe we do that many? That should be fine, right? So we'll go a little bit faster than that. And I'm just going to do this the slightly simplified way. You know, I am going to go ahead and go full speed. I really don't want this to be slow. That would be very miserable. So we'll go there, and then we'll go there. Perfect. I will make sure to put a torch there. I'm still weird, even though the lighting levels have changed and stuff. Still always going to be weird about making sure things are well enough lit. And that's going to allow us to hide all of our hard work here. All of this should be good and hidden. We'll just come through here. Hello, I'd like to actually make this usable. Thank you. There you go. So, of course, at this point, we need to get a couple things going. We need belts. We need our igneous extruder. We're going to need a lava bucket and a water bucket. And we're going to need to use that to get our lava gen, cobble gen system running, essentially. So we'll do the same thing that we've done before. I'm going to put glass down, however, because I want this to be very visible. In fact, I may... Yeah, I'll just do normal glass. Come on. But I work down here in this little under area quite a bit, and I don't want to run into this on accident. It's kind of the last thing I want, so we will make sure to make this very clear what this is, where it is, why it's here, etc. That should do the job just fine. So we'll put our igneous extruder down. If you will recall, the igneous extruder is going to want to know what is it trying to extrude. And so I'm just going to put these here temporarily. And so we're going to have to tell it by putting a piece of lava on, or a source of lava on one side, and then a source of water on the other, which is, if you don't remember, how you make a vanilla cobble gen. And now you'll see it's running. It's going to be producing cobblestone for us. Perfectly fine. Now, we want to do this in a couple of stages. We're going to want... the best way that I can think of doing create machinery is to just say what you want, like do the thing that you want to do, right? And then work backwards from there sometimes works the best for me. So for example, here, I'm going to actually take one of those vaults that I made. Not vaults, bins. I didn't have a plan for these, but I will make a plan for these. We'll do this right here, and we will go ahead and put a... What is the word I'm looking for? Actually, you know, why don't we put it here, extend this out to here. Yeah, that sounds like a good idea. And we'll get a funnel. We've got quite a few of these. And so going into you know, I'm beginning to ask myself the question, is this enough space? I may drop this down a block. Okay, as I was saying, we'll have a funnel here filtering sand and only sand. So sand is going to go in here until it just can't anymore. And that is ideal. Then what we'll do is we'll have a shaft here on the end. Rotate that with the wrench because I decided to face the wrong way. Did you just go in here? Oh yeah, I guess it can pick up from a slight distance, huh? I do forget about that. Don't worry about the rotation direction. That's super easy to fix. We'll just need to rotate this back here a little bit. But that is definitely doable. Let's go and put that torch down and get the torches out of here. Clean up that inventory space. We'll connect this up, and then we will need, let's see, gearboxes. We'll need 4 of those to be vertical. And we're just going to get right into it. I'm not even going to play. We're just going to go straight into number 1 here, crushing wheel. And crushing wheel is going to produce gravel, correct? So gravel from a crushing wheel, 1-to-1. It's not going to produce anything weird. It's not going to produce any side effects. It's just going to go straight into it and not fiddle at all. Perfect. Now we'll do another one here, like so. Whoops. I was going to say, I thought I made more. I don't know why I couldn't find them. Put another one here, and this is the one that's going to create somewhat of a mess for us, and so that's just fine. I just want to make sure that we have everything handled for that. And in fact, I'm going to use treated wood planks down here, make things look kind of nice, because I don't have any shame for my setups. I just want to make sure that they work correctly. And so my goal at this stage is to make sure that we are taking care of... Ooh, we're going to want a trash can right here. In fact, we might put it 1 block sooner with flint. Or what we could do, alternatively, I forget that this is a thing you can do, but I believe that a trash can into a depot with a fast hopper on it. Follow me, hang on, it's a little weird. So fast hopper, rapid hopper, whatever. Unfortunately, this is like the only thing from Little Logistics that I'm currently using because of my issues. If I put this here, it's going to drain very quickly. I actually need this to go 1 block lower, and also apparently to lose my depot. And so we put the depot here. We put the funnel here. That's facing the wrong way. We tell you, hey, hello, hi. I want you to grab things from this belt line. Then that thing is going to be flint. So now flint's going to get tossed onto that depot and immediately voided. Sand's going to go into here. Anything else is going to go into here. Beautiful. This is a little bit of a compressed mess, but trust me, the system will work. I just got to get the rotation hooked up correctly. All right, so stage 1 here is complete. The only thing left is I've got to hook up our pipe here to the rest of this. And so that's going to take a little bit of weebling wobbling here. So let me get that done. But if you can sort of imagine for yourself here what this is going to look like, then hopefully you should get the picture more or less of where I'm headed next. So I want to be able to pipe items in. Obviously, we want to avoid connections to that because that's not going to work. And I can grab that. Let me go and turn my magnet on really quickly. Grab those. And if I do this right here, we should start to get item movement, which is perfectly fine. Now, I don't know how we're going to decorate down here. I would be tempted to say that it would just be like hempcrete and stuff. Or even that tuff that we're using over there is just fine as well. And so if that's what we were to do here on this lower wall, then it would look a little something like this. And all we'd need to do, of course, is cover up this 1 block, which doesn't even look that off because of just the way it's set up anyways. Let's grab an andesite casing really quickly. I want to make this conveyor belt here look a little beefier, a little better. And I'd love it if I could get that down there looking a little better as well, just because I'm weird and nitpicky, which you probably already knew. Anyways, here you can see the setup is working just fine. You can see our bin here already has a couple of stacks of sand, so that is insanely fast. And all that is left is for us to do some interesting stuff on the next floor up. So I'm going to make a little glass platform using clear glass probably. Actually, you know, we might go for panzer glass just because of how nice it looks. And I'm going to clean this up really quickly. This is going to be an extra long episode, so I'm probably going to post this on Monday, and this will count for a couple of days, but I want to just get this build done. All right, so you might be wondering what it is that I even need this sand for in the first place, and this is where things get really fun. So we are going to turn our sand into soul sand using a process called haunting. So you can take a look here. This is bulk haunting. And so what we need to do is we need to get ourselves a soul campfire. To do this, pretty straightforward there. Something that you've probably already seen before anyways. And then what we need to do is not only figure out how to get that powered, which is not a problem for right now, but also make sure that it gets powered correctly. And so what we will do is we will have 2 lines here. Of course, we're going to have one for the washing process, which we will be most certain to do. And then we'll have another one for our remaining process for the bulk haunting. So we can do like a little container setup here, like so. And that'll be our campfire there and our water there. So at this point, we are going to need a couple of things. Of course, we still need to get our rotation up here, which is going to be somewhat of a challenge, but I don't know how much of a challenge, to be honest with you. It could be relatively easy, maybe. We could borrow. This is where it always gets a little tricky. Always gets a little tricky. I think we have more leeway back here to grab the rotation from. Yeah, I think this would work a little better. So let's go ahead and grab a vertical gearbox here. Be sure to pull up like so. And then we can just have this run up to here. And then I'll figure it out, I guess. We'll figure it out. Trust me. It creates functionality here is a little bit difficult to get used to at first, but once you get used to it, I find that it's actually quite enjoyable. And you know, I'm looking at this and I'm wondering if we might be able to get away with slight criminal activities here. So let's see if we can. If I do this and this, would that happen to be blowing the right way? That would happen to overstress our system. I see. I'd like to propose an alternative, but I don't know that I really want to do that. Okay, interesting. Well, I mean, this is really fast. Let me slow that down. All right, so I slowed it down a little bit, and I learned that if I came back here and did this, we can actually make this still incredibly compact. And now it's just a matter of moving our items around. And so this begs the question, do we want to do it this way, which kind of isn't very great if I can be completely honest here, or do we want to try out depots for this instead? Because over here we did belts, and the belts were fine, but the depots could be cool just because they are so much more compact. But in essence, what we would be going for here is we'd have a depot here, and then we would have a pipe there, and then we would just have a pipe that came up into the side of this depot here. And again, we probably wouldn't see all of this stuff, but that's why, partly why I'm thinking, why does it even matter? Why do we have to go to all that effort? If we could keep things nice and easy, why wouldn't we? So perhaps we do exactly that. Let me grab my treated wood, kind of clean this up a little bit. We'll need that. And let's just try it out, I guess, right? We could also use an entangled block here. I know I've been using them a lot. Right, we don't need those anymore. But they are so convenient that it's sort of hard to ignore, you know? Like, why wouldn't I want to do that? Now, this is a question. How do I unbind you? Like, what if the block didn't exist anymore? I don't know. I truly do not know. Perhaps I'm missing something here. Can I manually select? No, I don't think so. Interesting. Very interesting. Well, for now, this is error, so do you care? It's not even going to let me. Okay, I may have to add in something to reset them then. All right, so entangled block get, and what we'll do is we'll put you right there, and we'll link you from here to here. That way it looks like magic, which is kind of fitting considering we're making soul sand here. So we'll link you to you. There we go. We'll tell you, hello, hi, can I get an extraction module? And let's make sure that you're actually, I'm really picky about these extraction modules. I always like to go with the high tier just because they are generally good at preventing overflow. And we're going to extract from the basic bin into the depot. We're also going to do another extraction module all the way up the tiers, like so. Should just teach my auto-crafting system this, but I don't care. And what I'll do is I'll just grab a piece of soul sand, which I believe I can drag. No, I cannot. Okay, fair enough. Grab a piece of, soul sand, and we will put this in the items and filtered slots are allowed. And so we only want soul sand coming out of here. And then when that is done, from the Eastern Depot, right? No, the Western Depot. It will insert into the Eastern Depot and get washed. And then all the outputs from here, every last one of them can go into a dimensional chest, which will be our final stage. So we'll need one more extraction. This one's speed doesn't really matter, but again, may as well. Why did that happen? Interesting. I must have not been paying close enough attention. And we'll just do one last pipe from there to there. We'll tell you from the West Depot into you. Now, it seems as though I forgot to filter that. More importantly than that, I also forgot items are disallowed. We don't want soul sand coming out of there. Seems I also forgot to change the dimension on this chest down here. This is what happens, is they just don't do anything correctly. Or at least in this case, it's doing everything perfectly correctly. This just isn't what I wanted. So we will fix that up really quickly. That was a complete mistake on my part alone. So we can do that. And then we can add another layer of panzer glass on top. Certainly hope that doesn't affect anything. Suppose there's only one way to find out. So I had to step away for a few minutes, but you can see it is already working very well for us. So at this stage, we've got to do a couple of things before we can allow for importing. First of all, you can see sand is starting to accumulate. That will be a problem because if too much sand accumulates, then it's going to go straight into our system. And that's not a huge deal. We just need to be prepared for it. We need to be prepared for most of these alternatives and positions that we might find ourselves in. Otherwise, we will end up with item overflow, which is exactly the last thing we want. So one of the things that I like to do is use voiding drawers for exactly that purpose. So let me go ahead and get a couple more void upgrades. I believe we're going to need like 3 or 4. Let's get a drawer. We'll just do 4 for now. And I also need to get a refill of water while I am out and about. But what we'll do is we'll go set everything up such that our excess sand and all of our excess quartz, which I'll make sure we support a little more thoroughly as well, are all in better shape. So there's the sand. If we get too much sand, it'll be handled. And then the quartz and the gold are both very unlikely to overfill, and I'm about to prevent that even more so because we're going to make a copper upgrade for these guys. The copper upgrades are very, very good, and in fact, I might... What's in my iron? Gold? Yeah, let's do gold. I want to match that. So we'll have gold for our nether quartz and for our gold ingots. So now, heading back over to the original setup, we should be able to change that one tiny little setting in the dimensional chest and be good to go, I think. in theory. So you can see we've got 12 gold nuggets. We've already gotten some clay and some sand and a lot of quartz. So let's change this over to private. And as soon as I put all this stuff in, of course, we should see it import again. And there we go. That is our open face setup for getting soul sand from cobble, and then all the way from cobble from one end all the way to the gold and quartz that we could possibly need. So this will be a lot of quartz for us, which is great because we've been using a ton with refined storage. And I am very, very happy that we have a setup like this already put together, because that's going to save a lot of hassle going forward. So I'm going to go ahead and decorate this off camera, make this look a little more like this. And then that'll probably be the wrap up for the episode, because I don't really see much point in dragging it on for too terribly long. So I'll do that off camera, and I hope you guys enjoyed the episode. I'll see you hopefully very soon, and I hope that if you have any input, you'll feel free to leave it for me in the comments, because I've been loving what I'm hearing so far. And as I've been asked and shown, I'm trying to kind of bring some purpose around for everything we've made. So today I didn't really show exactly what we did with the rubber. This is one of the things we did. But in the future, we'll be using rubber for some really advanced technology that basically, if I can go ahead and start queuing up my rubber now and keeping on top of that plastic as well, both of which we are doing, the more we do that, the better I think we'll be set for a lot of the more complicated tech that we're going to get into in the next, dozen or so episodes. Anyways, hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you very soon. Thanks. All right, I lied. I'm back for more. I just finished prettying this up, kind of completely resetting and reattributing a lot of things, making it a lot different looking. But this is the setup now. You can see it still works exactly the same. The biggest differences are I moved the entangled block to put stuff into this double chest. That goes into here. And this brass tunnel prevents anything from going through it that is not soul sand. So in other words, it's going to clog right here at the haunting stage. Same here. This is a funnel that says nothing can go through here that is not quartz or gold nugget. And so until those are done being processed, they won't go through either. And then when it gets to this end funnel and belt, it'll go to the funnel with another depot dropper into the chest, the dimensional chest that I showed off earlier. And so now they look a little more similar on the surface, and I think this is a little more appeasing to the eyeballs. No compromises on the setup either. I definitely like how this turned out, and we're doing really good on our resources, to no surprise of anyone. Anyways, sorry for the after show, but thanks a lot.